Time for the sunset story. I'm a little late. Time for the sunset story. Which one am I going to tell? Am I going to tell that one? Yep. Time for the sunset story. Which one am I going to tell? Now, you know what? I think I'm going to tell the Robert Downey Jr. story today. That will be a good one. I think it is time for the Robert Downey Jr. stories. All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the sunset story time. I just woke up from a little nap. And it's good to see you guys on here, especially Leisha and Alicia. Leisha and Alicia. These are some really good stories. This is the Robert Downey Jr. stories. Okay, so I went to junior high school with Robert Downey Jr. Really, seriously. And eighth grade, I went to 8th grade with Robert Downey Jr. I went to junior high school 104 in New York City. Today, there's this little kid who lives in my apartment building. He calls it Simon Baruch. They just call it Simon Baruch. They don't call it the number anymore. When I went there, they called it Junior High School 104. And in my class was this kid named Robert Downey Jr. Yep, that Robert Downey Jr. And, I wasn't friends with him right away, but one of my good friends became friends with him. My friend Andy Gawker became friends with Robert Downey Jr. And one day, Andy Gawker said, let's go to a movie with Robert Downey Jr. His dad directed this movie called Putney Swope, and it's playing at a movie theater in Greenwich Village, and we're gonna go see it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, well, I don't know anything. And we go to see this movie, Putney Swope. And I don't remember anything about that movie, Putney Swope. Except that after the movie was over, Andy leaves and I go for a walk in Greenwich Village with Robert Downey Jr. And we're walking through the streets. This movie theater, I think it was the Bleecker Theater, the Bleecker Street Theater. And we're walking through Greenwich Village, and Robert Downey Jr. goes, hey, wait here for a second. And then he ducks into a candy store, and he comes out with a pack of Marlboro cigarettes. And he pulls out one of the Marlboros, lights it, takes a drag. Then he takes the pack of cigarettes, crushes it in his hand, and throws it in a pile of trash on the street. And I go, "What are you doing, man? That was a whole pack of cigarettes." And he goes, "I just wanted one." So he's smoking his cigarette. Now, it shows you that Robert Downey Jr. had a lot of willpower. But we all know what happened to Robert Downey Jr. And we all know that, based on what we know about Robert Downey Jr., that willpower can only take you so far in life. Now, there's another really funny story about Robert Downey Jr. See, he was the star of the drama. Like, there were 2 tracks in junior high school. I was in the chorus track, right? There was this teacher, very charismatic teacher named Mr. Sharon. And Mr. Sharon was the chorus teacher, and he was in charge of a play. And in 8th grade, the play was West Side Story. And I tell you what, I came back from summer camp that year, and I had lost, like, I had been chubby in 7th grade. But I came back from summer camp after 7th grade and began 8th grade, and I lost like 20 pounds at summer camp. And Mr. Sharon, I remember he looked at me and he goes, "Wow, you look really good." And I go, "Thanks." He goes, "Did you lose some weight?" And I go, "Yeah, about 20 pounds. He goes, "Wow, you look really good." And next thing I know, I audition. You know, it's just like general auditions for West Side Story. And I get the role of Tony in West Side Story. That's a pretty good role, right? And Robert Downey Jr. was not in the chorus. Robert Downey Jr. was in the drama department, see? His dad was a movie director, so he doesn't want to be in the chorus. He goes in the drama department. Now, this is what you guys don't know. You know how he wears that very particular beard and mustache? It's like shaved, and it's like he has his very particular beard and mustache, right? He completely 100% got that beard and mustache design from the drama teacher at Junior High School 104. 100%. That guy's name, I think his name was Mr. Vecchiola. I don't remember the guy who was the drama teacher's name because I wasn't in drama. But I'll tell you, I remember his face like it was as clear as I am seeing the sunset today. And I am telling you, Robert Downey Jr.'s beard and mustache comes from our 8th grade drama teacher's beard and mustache, 100%. So one day, this is a funny story. This is not for children. If there are children, you should send them out of the room. This is not a PG story. This is an R-rated story I'm going to tell right now. One day, I'm standing outside of Junior High School 104, and Robert Downey Jr. comes over to me, kind of happy and excited. And I go, "Hey, man." He goes, "Hey, guess what?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "I got some Puerto Rican chick to give me a blowjob in the schoolyard." And I go, "What's a blowjob?" 100% true freaking story. 100%. Now, in New York City, after 8th grade, you can go to specialized high schools. There's like all these different applications that you could do to go to specialized high schools. Or you could stay in junior high school for one more year for 9th grade and then go to high school in 10th grade. And everybody's taking these different exams and doing all these, applications to go to the specialized high school, at least in my junior high school. I was only interested in one specialized high school. See, when I was about 12 years old, my dad took me in the car and he said, come with me. We go down in the elevator from our apartment, we go down to the garage, and we get in the car. And we drive out of the garage, out onto the street, and we lived on 23rd Street and 2nd Avenue, like half a block away from where I live right now. Today, I live in the same exact complex where I grew up as a kid. And it is strange, yes, but at the same time comforting in a way, but it is strange. So we pull out, the garage opens onto 24th Street. We go left onto 24th Street. We take a left turn onto 2nd Avenue. We take another left turn onto 23rd Street. We go down to the East River. We take a left turn to get onto the FDR Drive. And my dad starts driving us up the FDR Drive. And we're not talking. He's not saying anything. I probably put the AM radio on in the car. It was oh wow. At that time, it had to be our Dodge Dart. We had a Dodge Dart. And we drove the Dodge Dart up the FDR Drive, and it didn't take long to get to 125th Street. And he pulls off the FDR Drive, and I'm looking around like, what the heck are we doing up here? This is not like 125th Street today. It's not like Harlem today. Harlem today is like gentrified, right? No. This was old Harlem. See, 1977. Yeah, it was 77. I made a mistake. By 77, we had a brown Chrysler Newport 2-door with tan Naugahyde top. I knew we had the Newport. I knew this happened in the Chrysler Newport. And this is like the biggest car ever made in American car manufacturing history. This was a 1972 Chrysler Newport. Because now it's 1977. I was 12 years old. And we're driving through Harlem. And next thing I know, he pulls over in front of like some schoolyard. And there's like all these big black kids playing basketball in the schoolyard. And my dad points across the schoolyard. He says, you see that school over there? I go, yeah. He goes, that is the high school that I am going to bus you to unless you get accepted into Stuyvesant High School. Do you understand? I go, he goes, what that means is that you're going to be the only little white Jewish kid in the school, and that every day, all those big black guys are going to kick the shit out of you if you don't get into Stuyvesant High School. I said, okay. So we're all taking these exams. They got me a tutor. I really studied and learned a lot with this tutor. His name was Mr. Linder. He was the biology department head of Stuyvesant High School. And once a week, he would come over and he would sit me down at the dining room table and we would work together for an hour on fractions, division, multiplication. When I started learning with Mr. Linder, I didn't even know what fractions were. I didn't know what long division was. He taught me all that stuff. And he used to give me vocabulary words to learn. It was a lot of work studying to get into Stuyvesant High School. Probably what kids do today. I mean, there's a whole big semi-scandal going on right now in New York City because so few African-American kids are getting admitted into Stuyvesant High School because it's a competitive examination, and all the Asian kids are all preparing for the Stuyvesant High School exam, and they're filling up that school with just Asian kids. When I went there, it was like 60% white, and then it was like 30% Asian, and then it was like 9% black kids, and then it was like 1% Puerto Rican kids. That's it. That's what it was. And now I think only 9 black kids got in this year. So it's kind of a scandal. But anyway, I applied to Stuyvesant High School and I got accepted. And I went there from junior high school in 8th grade, and Andy Gawker went there from junior high school in 8th grade, and Mike Beanstalk went there from junior high school in 8th grade. And Robert Downey Jr. went to the High School of Performing Arts. That was another specialized high school that you could go to. Now, the High School of Performing Arts, that's the Fame High School. You know, I'm gonna live forever, light up the sky with my name, Fame. That's the school, right? That's where he went. And a lot of kids from my junior high school went there. In fact, when I was in that play, West Side Story, the girl who played Anita, no, Anita, no, you know, the girl who played Anita, a boy like that, he killed your brother. A boy like that, he'll kill another. Stick with your own kind, stick with your own kind. That Anita character, that girl that part was played by a girl named Erica Gimple. And Erica Gimple went to performing arts too. And Erica Gimple had a career. She ultimately went on to play Coco, the lead character in the CBS television series Fame. And she had a real representation. In fact, like when I was dating and engaged to my daughter's mother, when I was with my daughter's mother for that 2.5 years, Erica Gimple was a client of the agency that my one-time future brother-in-law owned, which was a top 10 agency in Hollywood. That was a real agency, and Erica Gimple was a real client of theirs. In any case, Robert Downey Jr. goes to music and art. And in 10th grade, in 9th grade, he goes to music and art. I go to Stuyvesant, and the junior high school play, the junior high school play in 9th grade was Bye Bye Birdie. And you know who played Birdie in the 9th grade production at the junior high school? John Cryer from 2.5 Men. I mean, these are real people that I really went to school with. And in 10th grade at Stuyvesant High School, my friend Stu one day comes out, and I'm like, here's what would happen in Stuyvesant High School. After school was over, all the kids would go out in front of the school and hang out on 15th Street, just like talking for about half an hour. And then they would slowly start to dissipate away. Well, school lets out, and I'm just standing out there. And one day, my friend Stu comes over to me, and he goes, "Hey, man, you're a good singer, right?" And I go, "Yeah." Chorus, right? He goes, "Well, how would you like to be the lead in the school play?" And I go, "I guess so." And he goes, "Come with me." And he brings me back inside the school. And inside the school, we go down the stairs to the stage in the auditorium. And he brings me out onto the stage. And on the stage is this teacher named Mr. Litwin. Mr. Litwin was about 40 years old, flaming homosexual with that classic homosexual mustache, just exactly like Freddie Mercury in Queen. I mean, Mr. Litwin looked a lot like Freddie Mercury, except like a white, better-looking Freddie Mercury. And he's there in khaki pants and a Lacoste shirt full of muscles. And he looks at me, and this is like the beginning of 10th grade, and I'm just some scrawny little kid at that. I had started to improve my body. I had been on the gymnastics team. That's where I met my friend Stu. We were friends from the gymnastics team. And And the real reason we became friends was because his girlfriend Jory had been in the chorus with me in junior high school. That's how she knew me. And in fact, he came over to me. He goes, "Hey, my girlfriend Jory says that you're a cool guy and that we should be friends, so we're going to become friends." That's exactly how it happened, out of Mr. Sharon and the chorus. And he brings me over to meet Mr. Litwin. And he goes, "Hey, Matt, this is the guy I was telling you about." And Matt Litwin looks at me. He just looks at me up and down like I'm a piece of freaking meat, right? And he goes, "Yeah, you look like the part. Can you sing?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you a good singer?" I go, "Yeah, I was." And he goes, "Can you dance?" And I go, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, can you move?" I go, "I guess so." And he goes, "Well, look, you're going to have to audition for real, but from what I can see, you got the part." And I got the part of Conrad Birdie in the 10th grade production at Stuyvesant High School. Crazy, the parallels. Now, becoming Conrad Birdie in 10th grade really changed my whole life. It really did. I had been the leads of plays before. Like I told you, I had been Tony in West Side Story. I had been in Oliver. I was Mr. Bumble because I was fat in 7th grade. In 6th grade, I had been Emile in South Pacific. In 5th grade, I had been the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. So I had been the lead of plays, but not like it was in high school, and not like the role that I played in high school, because Mr. Litwin, really put a lot of attention on me. He said I reminded him a lot of his son. He despite the fact that he was openly gay, and that he told me that he was, despite the fact that he was openly gay, he had had a son with a woman, and she had gone insane, and they had given away the son for adoption. And I reminded him a lot of his son. And his son was super smart and brilliant, and he was going to go to Harvard. And Mr. Litwin said to me that he was going to take me under his wing like an uncle. And he really worked with me very closely, not just like a director, but way more than just as a director. And I'll have to get into that in another story, because this is not about that. This is about Robert Downey Jr. Now, Robert Downey Jr. goes off to the High School of Performing Arts. And by the time we graduate from the High School of Performing Arts, Robert Downey Jr. is already on Saturday Night Live. We're just like regular kids, right? I get a job working that summer as a sailing instructor at a sleepaway camp in Maine, and he goes on Saturday Night Live. God bless him. And his career was meteoric. It really was. He did a movie that was really fun and funny. I really recommend it if you haven't seen it. I think it was called Soap Dish, where he plays like an actor in a soap opera. And it was a really great movie. I never saw him again until I was about 22 years old. And after I had moved out to Hollywood, I was at a party one night because my girlfriend worked for a motion picture advertising company. They designed movie posters. And we went to some movie premiere party, and there was Robert Downey Jr. And I go over to him and I'm like, "Hey man, do you remember me from Junior High School 104? And he goes, "Wow, look at you, you're all grown up." "I'm all grown up," he says. Oh man. I get a little light here. And I said to him, I had seen him in another movie with Sybil Shepherd, and he got to kiss Sybil Shepherd. And I remember I said this really smart question. I was like, so, hey, man, what was it like to kiss Sybil Shepherd? He goes, it was great. It was great. So Robert Downey Jr. and I go our separate ways for many, 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 many years. And really, our lives completely diverged until they re-intersected one more final time. Because when I was in my late 30s, I met Allie. And Allie was the president of a Hollywood production company. And she had a lot of employees and all kinds of, like a big building in Santa Monica. And she was driving, when I met her, she was driving a 730 IL. I think that's the car, the big four-door BMW. I think that's what it's called. And somehow we get into the topic of Robert Downey Jr. And she goes, that's so funny. My old development girl is now married to Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, for those of you who don't know, in every Hollywood production company, they have what's called a D-girl, a development girl. And the job of the D-girl is she has to read the scripts and say why the scripts suck. That's basically the job of the development girl. And the D-girl at my now wife's old company was this girl named Susan Levine. And today, Susan Levine is now Susan Downey. Is that right? Yes. Susan Downey. Susan Downey produced all of these movies that has made Robert Downey Jr. a gigantic movie star because, as we all know, his willpower only took him so far. It took him to prison for drug-related crimes. And when he got out of prison, lucky for him, he got clean and sober. And while he was out in the world again, he met Susan Levine. And Susan Levine married him and made him what he is today. Aquaman, Sherlock Holmes, and all the other great movies that he's done. Tony Stark, everything. For me, the great moral of the Robert Downey Jr. story is, especially for men, who you marry is the most important decision you make in your whole life. And if you get a great one, they will take you to the stars. That's going to wrap it up for today's Sunset Story. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back here tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. with another great one. Until then, adios amigos. Good night, everybody.